Namaste, my loves. Here we are again. Here we are. We will give it some time for more of us to come together. Good morning. Good morning. As we begin to come together, just take some time to find a seat that really suits your mood, your temperature, your temperament, how you're feeling today. So that you might join us for the duration. It's time to become centered. The practice of finding one's center, I think, has to come from the acknowledgement that we are off center, which is, not always the easiest thing to admit. Sometimes it's the most obvious thing we're aware of. But our willingness to find our center comes from our willingness to acknowledge that we are off center. And of course, there's a lot that can take us off center right now, right? So we help each other. We help each other. And as I've been saying, it's one of the real deep blessings of this virtual experience by way of social media that we come together in a new way. We are sitting alone together, but also in a much more global way, which just really, really excites me, that it gives all of us a chance to come together, whether we're on the West Coast and or across the seas in Europe and what have you. Here in Western New York or upstate New York, it's kind of a cold May day, a gloomy May day. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this time to bring me a little lift via all of you, right? That we lift each other up through these more intense times, that not only are we grounding each other, helping each other find one center, but at the same time from those roots comes a bit of a lift. So, amen to that. Good morning. All right. Let us tune in. Breathe in. Let's take a moment to drop our heads into our hearts. Let's follow it up with a few moments of gratitude. Allow the heart to swell and allow the head to be cradled by it. Namaste. Nice to see all of you in this virtual scroll as we take this sit together, right? Alone we sit together. So thank you for being part of the together. I've been offering the virtual asana, the physical practice of yoga, over on Zoom, and I'm sure by now everyone's familiar with this. If I'm familiar with this platform, I'm sure you guys are. And I think it was initially designed for meetings, for virtual meetings, where one person speaks and then you can potentially see everyone else who's gathering, but essentially their mics are muted and only the speaker is unmuted. And we've been doing this really nice thing where we've been unmuting the mics of the people gathering for the physical asana practice. In the beginning for the Oms and in the end for the Oms. And I just think this is, such an awesome idea, right? Because it's one of the things I know I've been missing most about gathering, here in this beautiful building with our extremely high ceilings, this 3,000 square foot old bank of a building, missing the sound of Om, right? The sound of us, right? And resonating through this room. So it's been really neat to unmute the mics on the Zoom platform for the physical asana practice and begin with the collective Om. And here's why I'm sharing it with you, because it probably doesn't sound so great. I was thinking about, I don't listen to the recordings afterwards, but I do save them so that I can send them out to anybody that was not able to be present at our session time if they want to do it later. And I've been kind of having a little inner chuckle about how the Oms probably sound just like, awful. And why they sound so awful is because, when you unmute on Zoom, you get that all this like crackly nonsense at first, this great interference at first, and then, someone's dog's barking and someone's child's crying and someone's outside so you can hear a, delivery truck, and it's just like this mass chaos of sound, this kind of cacophony of chaotic sound, right? And once again, the reason why I'm sharing it with you, the reason why it makes me smile is how great. And the reason why it's great is because it's opening our minds. Because it's shifting what we think peace should sound like. What we think the collective experience, what we want the collective experience to be like, right? It really helps us pay attention to preference and work with it, right? What are we learning, right? I think that's what I put on the wall of Shakti's Facebook page today. Like, what are we learning from life, right? We have to keep being students, right? We have to be willing to stretch open the mind a bit, right? To insert interpretation beyond the box of the mind, right? And this idea, this concept that maybe the Oms don't sound so pretty right now, right? Because it's just massive sound in all shapes and sizes, is one of the greatest blessings of this experience. Because A, we can just go, ugh, I don't want to participate in that because it doesn't sound good. I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to open to that because it doesn't sound good. I don't prefer that sound. And or B, there is peace and joy and love and bliss radiating through this chaos, right? Students that go to India, of course, when they first arrive, it's just like, this isn't what I thought, right? This is supposed to be the motherland, the birthplace of yoga, meditation, peace. It's so chaotic, it's so smelly, it's so loud. I'm going to get sick, right? The overload, right? Of things that are very uncomfortable and unfamiliar. Things that we don't associate with being peace, yet it is the birthplace of, right? So we start to learn by sticking with what is most uncomfortable. And we start to learn with sticking with what's beyond the box of the mind on how we think things should be going, to realize, right, like that peace comes from the chaos, right? It is said, right, some 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, right, the asana practice, the meditative practice came from India, one of the most chaotic places ever, right? So we're birthing the mind in a new way that we can seek out the peace that's already there without shutting the mind down on what we think it should sound like first. That's huge. So this is for everyone, regardless if you're doing the Zoom asana practice with me or not, that maybe the question could be, what do I think peace is? And of course we'll conjure sunsets or sunrises. Maybe it's a sunrise when no one is out, when the earth is still sleeping, right? Of course, peace. We get it. We see it, we understand it, we're in it, we're embracing it. Right? But what else, right? Can we find peace, when this eventually lets up in a traffic jam, right? Is it still there, or is it not there because we don't think that's what it is? Right? And it's inside, right? It's birthed from our own chaotic centers, right? Our willingness to sit in our own neuroses, right? We birth the peace from there, right? It's inside. Well, our culture, I don't even know if it's our culture anymore. I mean, clearly this is a world experience. Our tendency as humans is to run as fastly away, shut that door of the mind as quickly as we can when we don't prefer something, right? We're so prone and conditioned to, I'll only sit with it if I like it, right? Then if it's good, I'll stay, and if it's not, I'm out of here. I'm out, right? Life is hard enough already, right? And learning how to just be in any moment that shows up, whenever it shows up, and when we can tolerate, right? The neuroses of the mind or the chaos of the world, when we can sit in it for more than a second, right? It starts to, shift, right? And we start to learn the peace is always there. And breathe in through your nose. And exit through the mouth. Again. One more. If you care to, close your eyes. Mindful note that we're not closing our eyes to shut out the world. We're closing our eyes just to seek more internal information. And we bring the breath into the experience in such a way that the breath helps buffer. The breath helps us tolerate. The breath helps us compassionately go there. See if you can release some holdings through your hips or your thighs. See if you can release some holdings from your innards and the belly. See if you can release some holdings from the heart and the head. Drop a little weightedness through the base of your tailbone, anchoring yourself into your seat, arriving to your body as it sits. See if you can release some holdings from the shoulders and the neck. Give rise to the midsection of the body as you slowly elevate through the chest and the head without strain, force, or manipulation. Recognize that you are seated. On this seat that perhaps places you in the presence of your existence right now. Starting to open up the mind's eye and what you think it should look like, what you think it should feel like. Open up the mind in such a way that you might be okay. You might be okay with anything coming in that you do not prefer. For me, I have this distance of some like work trucks, some grinding, some mechanics that are occurring outside the street. Not really the sound of peace one expects. Yet, right? Yet. But it's still there. And bring a little bit more attention into your breath. See if it might slow in such a way that you can catch it. And slow in such a way that you can feel it and be with it and in it. The less erratic the breath, the less erratic the mind and the nervous system. And the less erratic the breath, the more we can tolerate. Slow it in such a way that you could watch it moving from the navel to the chest on the inhale. And the chest to the navel on the exhale. And see if you might give any of your expectations on what you think this should be. Give them over to the breath. Just kind of hand them to your breath. Preparing for our lung strengthener and a nervous system mellower, attempting to slow the breath to a 5 count without being too rigid about it. If 5 isn't working, shift it to your personal 4 count or even 3 without any judgment or expectation whatsoever. Empty the breath from the underbelly. Breathe in. Retain. Breathe out. retain, breathe in, retain, breathe out. Retain. Breathe in. Retain. Breathe out. Retain. Breathe in. Retain. Breathe out. Retain. Release the lock from the underbelly. Let your breath go. Maybe move your body a little bit. Observing the breath again as it moves as slowly as it can from the navel to the chest on the inhale. And the chest to the navel on the exhale. Allow this breath to buffer your expectations of what you think this moment should be. And within it, you might find the seat of consciousness, right? The seat of awareness. And from that awareness, right, our peace is born, right? It's inside. The awareness is crawling in to seek it out and bring it up and out. And yes, it's oh so convenient when we're at sunset or sunrise or when the kids go to bed or what have you, are moments of peace that are so quintessential and so universally understood by all. Yet that is not the only peace, right? We seek it within. And all we're doing is changing our mind on the interpretation. Open your eyes and flow your arms outward and upward as you breathe in. And take your arms outward and downward as you breathe out. Slowly flow them up as you breathe in. Slowly descend them down as you breathe out. Again, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. And take them up as you breathe in. Interlace your fingers and flip your palms up as you breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Spread your arms to a T. Draw your hands to the center of your heart. Seeking the peace within, regardless of the confines, regardless of the structure, beyond the interpretation, beyond the interpretation. And breathe in. Let's drop our heads down. With the beautiful swell of the heart, allowing your heart to cradle your head. Perhaps as it falls in, you can dissolve a little more expectation, right? Dissolve the expectation, living in the current state of, and allowing that current state of, whether it's positive or negative, bitter or sweet, clamoury or, I can't think of a positive word, clamoury or still, and that you have that reservoir of peace inside. Namaste. Namaste. Nice to see all of you. Some new names, some old names. Love you all. I'm here Monday through Saturday, sharing space with you, sharing space with us, right? This new incredible collective by way of social media. If you care to share how the experience has been going for you, whether it's your first time or your, whatever number we're on right now, feel free. I always find that any kind of sharing that you can do helps us, right? It helps us feel like we're part of something, that we're not alone in our dismay or, whatever it is that's occurring with each and every one of us as humans at any moment. Physical asana practices to follow. It's nice if you happen to be doing both. This really does feed for the next phase. But if this is it for you today, honor that, and I hope that it carries you into a day where you feel more centered and where the interpretation of peace can potentially start to, open up a little bit, because it's always there. Thank you, guys. Christina's placing information for anybody heading over to Zoom to join us. Let's close it up. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with an easy heart. Namaste.